This is a beginning point. This is the beginning of the rest of my life. I got the meaning, and I got to write it down, because I don't want to forget it.
Just win, baby.
And welcome back to the Gold Jacket Podcast, proudly sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has it all, daily, weekly, and season-long best ball tournaments that are literally happening 365 days a year. Plus, you can play their pick-em prop games. You get 5 picks right. You can win up to 20 times your money. Head on over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code TNFF. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to your first $100. I'm your host, Gymnastic. You can find me at Twitter at GoldJackQBs. I'm joined, as always, by the other host of this show, Connor Donald. Find him on Twitter at Connor10. That's T-E-N, not the 1 and the 0. We're proud members of the True North Fantasy Football Network. Make sure to check out the entire network on the True North. Check out the entire network on Twitter at True North FFP. On YouTube, if you're watching now, thank you. That's the TNFF network. And on the internet at TrueNorthFFP.com. Tonight, we're wrapping up the 8th week of fantasy football. We look forward to week 9, and we talk about today's trade deadline. But first, Connor, what's happening, buddy?
I am excited to talk about this trade deadline because for once, it was like the most active trade deadline in NFL trade deadline history. And B, there was a ton of moves that we get to talk about for fantasy purposes, which makes it all the more exciting. So let's dive right into it. And I want to start with this one because I know that this one probably, hangs heavy on your heart right now. Irv Smith Jr.
It was shocking because it's in the division.
I agree. It was a tremendous value on a tight end, though. Like they got some pretty a 2 and a 4 for Irv's or for what was it a 6 or for Hawkinson in a 6 or something. But the deal is TJ Hawkinson to the Vikings,
wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. So TJ Hawkinson is now a member of the Minnesota Vikings. Irv Smith Jr. is headed to the IR. He's having some ankle issues. This is probably the end of Irv Smith Jr.'s season if they went out and acquired a tight end and they had to sell a second-round pick for it. First, are we at the RIP Irv Smith phase of this juncture with Irv Smith, who, by all accounts, was having a tough season? He had the most drops among tight ends. He had some okay games, but I think he had like one that was 10 points or more. I gave him my all-important gold honor last week, and he flopped.
He's injured now.
Are we ready? Like, is there a way
he flopped? This guy gets hurt.
Is there a way Irv Smith can come back from this? Is my question to you.
You know what, man? No, this offense seems to be moving in greener pastures. Obviously, it's not a big name with Jalen Reagor a few weeks ago, but now with the addition of TJ Hawkinson, as you said, totally makes it seem like they're not expecting Irv for the rest of this year. They got a team that, you know what? I think they're struggling a little bit. Yes, they got the wins in the W column there, but I don't know. They don't look like a dominant team. They look like a team that's like held together with fucking bubble gum and duct tape. You know what I mean? Like they're letting teams hang around too often. Again, the Arizona Cardinals, I think, could have won that game if they didn't implode on themselves with a few mistakes.
Yeah, I think I looked at it last week. They have not won a game by more than 8 points yet. And the game they won by 8 points was just this past week, which there was some bad decisions made. There was some turnovers, some bad decisions on Arizona's part, like you said. I think they're a fluky 6-1. And you put them in the playoffs. You put them pound for pound against some of these offenses once they get going. So San Francisco, Philadelphia's of the world. They already played Philadelphia. They got beat. Like, you put them up against those offenses, they won't stand a chance. They're not going to go pound for pound. They're not putting 35 points up. They can, but they put up 35. The other team's going to put up 42. Like, I don't think they can go pound for pound with these offenses. Buffalo, KC. Like, I was just naming the NFC ones, which some of them haven't even lifted off yet.
But
exactly. And I mean, I want to point a couple things out about like the Irv Smith and Hawkinson deal. I think it is huge for Hawkinson.
I think he's done
because no, I think Irv's done. Like, I think our dreams have been shattered. What we talked about him the last 2 off seasons is this guy. You got to get your hands on this guy. And I think he was going as like a fringe tight end 1 this past off season in ADP, and he's just done. He needs to land somewhere on his feet, get over these injuries, and I just don't see it happening. But on the Hawkinson front, this is a guy who ranked top 10 in red zone targets, Irv Smith Jr. You are getting an opportunity to walk into some juicy red zone targets, the all-important targets. Yes, is Adam Thielen still there? Absolutely. Is Justin Jefferson there? Yes. Does Justin Jefferson necessarily hurt you in the red zone for targets? No, I think Thielen's more a threat to that. But this is a guy who had 6 red zone targets.
Just easily coast off. You know what I mean? I think they're going to dial back Adam Thielen. This is where I think they needed another playmaker, because I think they think they're better than they are based on the record. I think they think that they're an upper echelon NFC team, where I think they're more of a middle of the pack NFC team, where like the Philadelphia Eagles are a real deal this year. Like, I see the Philadelphia Eagles fucking hanging with some fucking teams and putting up some big numbers on some people, man, and some big plays. And I don't see it with Minnesota this year.
I can agree with you on the Thielen front. And Thielen, he's banged up. You know, he misses time. He's got his injuries. He's getting older. Hawkinson can definitely like pretty much just squeeze right in there and eat some of Adam Thielen's targets and be Adam Thielen. Like, he can be that red zone threat. He can be a guy who's going to work the slot and the inline for you.
If you remember Kirk Cousins, man, he loved his Kyle Rudolph, big boy tight end sitting in there. He was a red zone nightmare. So I think Hawkinson's a little bit more athletic, a little bit more sexy of a tight end there, and definitely a better red zone weapon. So if Kirk made, Rudolph a thing, he could definitely, not in between the 20s, but Hawk could definitely eat when it comes to the valuable red zone work. And maybe Minnesota puts it up. But again, if Minnesota wants to stay sexy, they got to start fucking putting up some massive points, like massive points, to start hanging with these NFC teams.
Agreed. Now, it wasn't so much the Vikings offense I was intrigued by. It is the impact on the Detroit Lions offense that I was more intrigued by, because there's no real backup behind him. I looked it up at some guy, I think his last name's Wright or something.
Wright.
Like Brock Wright. There isn't even a tight end who's going to step in and command the amount of targets that TJ Hawkinson commands. This is huge for DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift has... Let me get to it. So DeAndre Swift is losing touches on the ground to Jamal Williams, like you've alluded to. This is a chance to recoup those touches in a far more valuable fashion. Yes, okay, Jamal Williams is getting the touchdowns. He's getting the inside the 5, the 10, the 20 work. I get it, Jim. I know you want to say it. But we know what is the value, the added value of a target over a carry, and we are not talking sticky stats of touchdowns. It is a times 1.6%, 2 point something value. But this is huge for him and for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think this is big for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
My case for Jamal Williams, though. Jamal Williams can catch, baby. He's swaggy. And with Dan
Yeah,
Campbell
but
talking about
stop it. I don't think.
Listen.
Okay, I get it. I get the comments that he made as well, and he doesn't think that DeAndre Swift's fully there yet. Maybe he deserves to lose a touch to Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is not the RB1 there. I don't know. Maybe we're about to throw down here, but
no, he's not the RB1 there. But he's good enough in this offense. First off, he's a free agent, so I don't see why they're not going to use him. And he's been producing pretty well enough to show that he's going to get a job. He's not going to get a job with Detroit, I don't think, but he's going to get a job. I know it's a massive free agent class. Everybody's going RBBC, but this dude can catch. He's shown he can catch. He's got a good yards per carry. I mean, the only thing he is a little bit is boom and bust when it comes to the touchdowns. It's either a multiple touchdown game or a non-touchdown game. But oh man, Hawkinson leaving, I think, is good for Jamal Williams. I think more than DeAndre Swift, especially if Swift isn't 100% for the rest of the season. Because what do you got? Another 4 weeks, 5 weeks until playoffs? We're talking about fantasy. Jamal Williams is the guy that's going to get you there.
I just want to point something out because I pulled the stats up. I had to do this. Jamal Williams, if he is such an effective target grabber, why does he sit with a 46th among running backs in targets? Grandiose 12. Why does he sit with
Connor?
Why does he sit with a 46th ranked routes run? You need to be running more than 8 routes per game to be able to get targets.
Now, what I'm saying is just because you don't have to.
Because
you weren't called upon it doesn't mean you can't do it. The guy's done it. He's shown he could do it in Green Bay. Listen, has he not shown that he could do it in Green Bay?
He did show he could do some of it. He was more leaned on in the running game, which is what he's exactly being leaned on.
He was leaned on the running game, but he was definitely fucking toss passes. He can definitely do it. Just because you're not asked to do it, when the opportunity comes up, it can be done. It's like we always say with these college backs coming out, just because can he catch? You know he can. You know he can catch. The guy listen, is he dropping passes, Connor? What'd you say? 12 targets and 9 receptions? Is he dropping a shit ton of passes?
Yes, he is. He actually ranks number 3 amongst running backs. Those 3 incompletions drops for him. A 25% drop rate right now. Just so you know.
I think that's fucking very what's it? You know the term. Fucking biased there.
Ironic. No. It's what I'm reading, but
no, I'm blaming those on Guffrey.
Listen, but at the end of the day, I also believe when DeAndre Swift is out there, that DeAndre Swift is going to see if I roll over to DeAndre Swift and I look at the targets for DeAndre 100% Swift,
healthy, it's going to be DeAndre Swift. My argument is he's not going to be 100% healthy for the rest of the season. The guy to go is Jamal Williams. He's going to get you for fucking value on the dollar. He's going to get you. While you're bringing up all those stats, Connor, were you looking at his fantasy points per game and where that ranked?
Fantasy points per game. Sorry, I'm on DeAndre Swift. Swift is 11th. Jamal Williams is 15th.
15th, Connor. That is fucking great.
I'm not denying. Oh, he was probably a free agent.
Exactly.
Probably a free agent, or you had him hanging on by a thread on your roster and you were just saying maybe something happens, and something has happened. I'm saying also from a dynasty perspective, the long-term gain here is yes, Jamal Williams is a great, at this point, his value is probably not proportionate to what you're going to have to pay for him, but he has proven, like you said, a lot of backfields are moving to an RBBC, and he has proven extremely effective in every RBBC he goes into. He's not one of those guys where you have to worry about him in the committee, because he's going to produce in the committee depending on the role given. And he has produced in this committee. Jamal Williams is the reason, one of the major reasons people believe in AJ Dillon. People will deny it, but you bought into A.J. Dillon because you saw what Jamal Williams did behind Aaron Jones. Nobody will admit it, but it is a reality that most people bought in, or the quads. Those are the only two justifiable explanations that you can give me that you bought into Jamal Williams or to A.J. Dillon. Was Jamal Williams' success as the RB2 or RB1B?
Which is why I've been touting Jamal Williams is the best backup running back that you can grab in fantasy football, ahead of the Alexander Madisons, who I understand had a good game. Very nice, very nice. But Madison needs Cook to go down or be
100%.
Injured. Jamal
100%.
Williams doesn't need studs to go down. I mean, it helps when Aaron Jones goes down. It helps when DeAndre Swift goes down, but he doesn't need them to go down. He takes a good chunk of that backfield as is, no matter where he goes. This is, and like, if you don't think he's fucking running for a job, you're nuts. He said he bet a 2-year deal on himself in Detroit, and it's paying off. He's done everything he needs to do.
And I just want to point out, to add to this, he has played, when Swift is healthy, he plays between 30 and 40% of snaps. He has had 10 carries in every single game. Swift healthy, Swift unhealthy. 10 carries in every game.
Yeah, every game? I thought one he had 9.
Every game. He has 11, 12, 20, 19, 15, 15, and 10. And then he has also given you, and listen to this, even when he isn't giving you a top 24 performance, these are the numbers that he put up: 7, 5.6, and 7.3. Otherwise, he was a top 24 back for you with 16, 24, 23, and 22. Even though 5, 7, and 7 are not back-breaking weeks, if he was a flex option. I've seen guys truly break your roster with flex options that didn't even put up 5 or 7 points. So while I 100% agree with you.
Do you know where he ranks in standard points? I know we don't usually play standard, but do you know where he ranks in standard? I know. Just take a guess. Where do you think Jamal Williams ranks in standard? Maybe tell me who you think he's sandwiched in between.
I just looked it up, and I'm actually completely mind blown that he's this high. But it just goes to show the value of a target.
He's fucking 9.
He's 9th. He is 9th.
Yeah, right behind Aaron Jones.
He's hanging with ahead of Breece Hall. He is hanging with the big boys in that. Listen, absolutely. I like Jamal Williams. I think, like, you know what? In running back by committees, he is a guy who has thrived. This is a guy, like, next year, wherever he signs, keep your eyes on it, because he is, A, you should worry about that lead back, but B, you just shouldn't worry about Jamal Williams because you know he's going to go and he's going to do a really good job. But I think the long-term result here is a major positive for Swift.
He's 12th. I was just looking it up. In half PPR, he's 12th, and in full PPR, he's 15th.
What about
2 out of 3 scoring modes? He's a top. He's an RB1. In 2 out of 3 scoring modes, he's an RB1, and in full PPR, he is a fucking high end RB2.
He's 15th. He's 0.1 point per game behind everybody's love child, Dameon Pierce.
Yep. Absolutely.
But one more question before we move on. One more question before we move on from this specific one. What about a wide receiver? Is there an impact? Is there a wide receiver on the Detroit Lions who gains from this?
DJ Chark? No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe I can't wait for Jamison Williams to come in now. You just freed up a boatload of targets for this guy you traded up 21 spots to draft him.
That's actually going to be interesting to see what he ends up doing, Jamison Williams there.
Agreed.
I think I'm actually really going to be interested now to see what truly Amon-Ra. I know we've seen him without Swift and we've seen him without Hawkinson in separate situations. But like to truly be a true number one focal point in a passing offense now everywhere, like especially in the red zone, like where are they going to be looking for in the red zone? Detroit. That's what I'm going to be interested to see. Is he a true alpha or not? We're going to find out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like you really get a good like when the attention is on him, when he's commanding attention over top, underneath. Is he going to be able to do it? And he actually ranks 30th in red zone targets. He's not seeing a lot of those high value targets. So it'll be interesting to see if he starts seeing those high value targets. But we should move on. Chase Claypool to the Bears.
To a dude.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I think we can skip the Steelers offense because I think the impact was they want more targets for Pickens. They want more these targets are going to filter to the three big names, Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth, and George Pickens. Otherwise, I really don't think there's like a massive impact on the Steelers offense because he had a big game in the game that Pat Freiermuth was injured and missed. So I think that was Chase Claypool's boom game. We do love Pat. So what about this is the Bears offense. So this is where we really have to decipher the impact. Obviously, he's a wide receiver one. He comes in here. He's your alpha. He's your dog. Darnell Mooney. I think he is. Darnell Mooney, if Darnell Mooney was going to be the alpha, we wouldn't be painstakingly grumbling about him under our breath week in and week out. While, yes, you can probably blame Justin Fields. And yes, Justin Fields was the reason for Allen Robinson proving that he isn't quarterback proof. I don't know if Darnell Mooney's 100% the dude. I don't know. You seem to be thinking otherwise.
I think Claypool's bringing in. I think Claypool's bringing in to be the Robin to Mooney's Batman. I think this is a great move for Chicago in a real life football sense, because from a real life football sense, now you have Monty leaving, you got Khalil Herbert on a rookie deal, Chase Claypool on a rookie deal, Fields on a rookie deal, Mooney on a rookie deal. I don't know who the fucking one of their 9 goddamn tight ends has got to be on a rookie deal.
Cole Kmet is still on a rookie deal.
There you go. Then you got some draft capital where you let go of Roquan, who is going to be a free agent next year. That's a great move, actually, by the Bears. This is uncharacteristically Bears. Now, if they can build that defense, sexy through free agency and their draft next year, I want to see, because they're done now, right? Like they can't do shit. This offense can be really dangerous next year if that defense does enough. You know what I mean? Like this offense is going to put up like 40 points. But this offense can be sexy efficient, where you know what I mean? Like you don't need Justin Fields throwing fucking 35 passes, but you need him completing like 70% of his Falcon passes. They don't need to be, you know what I mean? If he's only like completing 18 passes, that's okay. He can give it to you on the ground as well. He just needs to be efficient. And he's got now guys that are big playmakers, right? Khalil Herbert has to keep, let's be honest, defense is a little honest, staying tight to the line. They can't play back up on these two massive fucking, I think, good wide receivers. Now we're going to see if Chicago's a good fit for Chase and mentality-wise. We're going to see if he becomes a diva. If he doesn't get that fucking ball, he's going to start yapping again. Because, be honest, I don't think he was too happy when they drafted Pickens after. But, you know what I mean? This is a good football move, realistically, for Chicago. They have at least 4 core pieces, maybe 5 core offensive pieces on rookie deals. This is when you can strongly make a push, especially now when you see a weakening Green Bay Packers offense. It looks like they got to be the worst team in that division right now. At least got the worst fucking wide receivers. Like I went and saw that game against the Bills, and my God, man, my God, like he just fucking my God, he just chucked the ball, and I said, why is he chucking that? I think it was Dobbs, Romeo Dobbs, one of his drop passes. I said, like, what the hell is he dropping it? But anyway, like, man, it was unbelievable. They got to be the worst fucking, and like, man, some sexy runs by Aaron Jones too. Like live, seeing Aaron Jones run live, man, that dude's nice. That dude's nice. And same with Devin Singletary. Seeing Singletary live, that was nice too, man. That was nice. But anyway, I digress. Good real life football. I don't know how it's going to really pan out for fantasy, because I don't think, again, that Chicago Bears offense is going to be firing 35, 40 passes a game. I just don't see it. I think they're going to dial it back, try to be more efficient with their plays. Be honest, if I was Chicago, I'd be fucking it. Who cares? Just take the better draft pick and build now around your defense. You got the core fucking rookies now on rookie deals. Like, it's unbelievable. Maybe I'm wrong. Connor, what do you think? Ramble.
I like it. I get it. The value for Chase Claypool, he's probably, like, I've seen in a few group chats, like, people are saying the value goes down, and I understand the circumstance. I like this for Chase Claypool because over the last couple seasons, he has played almost no time in the slot. This year, he's almost been exclusively in the slot in Pittsburgh, and I just don't think that's a fit for him. This gives them an opportunity to kick him back outside, give two deep threats. You know, you got your big guy that you can throw it up to. You got Darnell Mooney. You got the burner. You can move Mooney into the slot. You can do some different things with Darnell Mooney rather than just keep him hanging out on the outside. You can get some of these garbage wide receivers there that are hanging out on the outside doing nothing for Justin Fields. You get a guy who might be able to do a little bit more. I agree with you. I think it'll be interesting to see in a lower passing offense because Chase Claypool, he's coming off back-to-back 100 target seasons, back-to-back 108-yard seasons and stuff. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens in regards to, can he be as efficient if he's seeing targets less, because his catch rate is not actually all that great. So you do have to understand, like, he's that deep threat. He's got that high average depth of target. He plays on the outside. He goes up. He's a contested catch guy for you. So he's not necessarily efficient. So he may not build into necessarily the gym mentality there. But I do think Chase Claypool to the Bears it's a better case scenario than where he is, because when you look at Chase Claypool this season, he had that wide receiver 6 performance. Otherwise, he's been a 49, 68, 59, 105. He dropped you a goose one week, 43, 46, 31. He had to get out of a spot where he was getting almost no opportunity. Well, I wouldn't say no opportunity. He was getting good targets, but because his average depth of targets down and because he's working in the slot, it just wasn't effective for fantasy purposes. So I think that this would definitely be better for fantasy purposes for Chase Claypool. Anything more you want to add before we move on to a rather dicey situation? Okay, Jim, let's do it. So the Denver Broncos.
Jesus Christ.
Jim told you, go and get Latavius Murray. He's the guy. Well, today, the Denver Broncos have added to their plethora of running backs Chase Edmonds from the Miami Dolphins in a really good deal for the Miami Dolphins. They acquired Bradley Chubb, and they essentially dealt Chase Edmonds in a second rounder, or Chase Edmonds in a first rounder, I think, which also completes the Trey Lance deal. They used all 3 picks that they got from San Francisco in that Trey Lance deal. One of them went towards trading up to get Jalen Waddle, I believe. One of them went towards trading to get Tyreek Hill, and one of them went to trading for Bradley Chubb, working out a lot more in favor of Miami than San Fran right now. But I digress. And then, just when Raheem Mostert managers were celebrating, Mike McDaniel brings in his old friend and Raheem Mostert's old friend, Jeff Wilson from the San Francisco 49ers. First of all, I'll raise my hand and say I said the player to sell was Raheem Mostert. I still stand by, if you can get out of Raheem Mostert, get the hell out of Raheem Mostert. If you're not a receiver and catching a ball in Miami, I don't think I really want anything to do with you. I think that's the impact on the Miami offense. You now have a 28-year-old Jeff Wilson who's injury prone, a 30-year-old Raheem Mostert who's injury prone and cannot handle the workload that he's getting. On the Denver side of the ball, they know Javonte Williams will not be back until week 6 next season, week 8 next season likely. Chase Edmonds is under contract next season. Latavius is not. Melvin Gordon is not. So Chase Edmonds, at this point, I don't want any piece of that backfield. I actually saw an update right before we went on the air here that they do say Melvin Gordon is still the starter.
Oh,
even though
bullshit.
Latavius Murray gets the high value touches and they traded for a third running back. Denver, the offense is just a mess. It's road off. If you don't want to be a part of the passing game, I doubt you want to be a part of that running game. But so I'm going to avoid the Miami running backs, and I am going to avoid the Denver running backs. What about you, Jim?
For the price point, for the price point, I would still roll Laddie. I like him. He's again another running back that's running for a job, and I know no other way to say this than he can pound. He knows he's got a nose for the goal line. I like these cheap backs that can find good work in between the fives. I know Chase Edmonds, I think it was Arizona, he had a very good inside the 5 conversion rate. So it might actually hurt Laddie Murray. Again, a football sense makes sense for Denver, but fuck Denver. They're fucking dumb. I don't know. I'm avoiding everything. I was really hoping Denver, and the rumors were true, that they were going to trade Jerry Jeudy away. But here and now that that win was enough for them to think that they're fucking doing something. I don't know what, but hanging around somehow, and that they don't think that they're going to trade Jerry Jeudy. That's ridiculous to me too. But I'm avoiding everybody. I really want to see Jeudy gone so bad. And I wanted to see him go to because it was obvious that Carolina wasn't trading DJ Moore. I wanted to see him go to a place that fucking they ended up trading for a wide receiver today anyway, but the wrong one. I want to see him go to Jacksonville. Again, a team that doesn't have a true, in my opinion, wide receiver one, but they traded for somebody else. What are your thoughts, Con?
Chase Edmonds, I was just looking up some stats on him. His conversion rate isn't all that great, no matter where in the red zone, and he didn't get a whole lot of red zone touches in any of in Miami or in the last 2 seasons in Arizona. So I think Lat Murray is probably okay. So I'll say that. But we'll move on to more running backs, shall we, Jim? Zach Moss to the Colts, Nyheim Hines to the Bills. We are in a group chat with a guy who is very adamant this is going to be a James Cook and a Nyheim Hines backfield. Me and you completely disagree. We think this is a Devin Singletary and a Nyheim Hines backfield because obviously you still need a back who can push a pile, a back who can work between the tackles. Nyheim Hines isn't that guy. I don't think James Cook is that guy. This is just another home run hitter for the Buffalo Bills. Are you going to be able to confidently tell me when you're going to play Nyheim Hines or when you're going to play, any real part of this Buffalo Bills running room? Probably not. But he could be opportunistic sometimes. You might be able to throw him in to cover some buys and stuff, or he could completely blow us out of the water and be very, very good. Zach Moss to the Colts. Zach Moss, I feel, is too much like Jonathan Taylor. I think this is just more of a push towards Jonathan Taylor is getting even more of that opportunity share, which who could have ever thought that would even be imaginable, but it looks like that could happen. What are your thoughts on this? I think this is Devin Singletary, Nyheim Hines, 1A, 1B. Hello, how you doing? 20 touches, say 15 of them in a day are running and 5 of them are targets. Nyheim Hines will probably have 4 targets and 4 carries, and Devin Singletary with the majority of the rest. Maybe James Cook, throw him in 2 or 3. That's kind of my thoughts. You're on mute, Jim.
I think it's really weird because, like you said, like Moss and JT are very similar to my type of back. Obviously, Moss is nowhere on the level of JT, and Hines and Cook are like the same type of back. So, like, I agree with you. And again, seeing Devin Singletary run it live and seeing James Cook run it live. James Cook did run. He ran nice, looked good, got skinny, got some in between some tackles. But I definitely think this is more conducive of just the fact, really, that Casey traded for Kadarius Toney earlier on, and Buffalo just wanted to add any type of explosive weapon. You know what I mean? Like, again, they're a championship caliber team. We all know they're going to make a push in the playoffs. They could potentially go to a Super Bowl. You got to keep pace with what? The team that's beat you the last 3 years in the playoffs, right? They just got a new explosive weapon in Kadarius Toney, and I think that's them trying to answer back, because Naheem Hines is explosive. James Cook is explosive, but James Cook's still a rookie. When push comes to shove in the AFC Championship or the wild card weekend, or you know what I mean, any week in the playoffs, are you going to trust James Cook when it comes to that passing down situation to lay out the block for Josh Allen if he had to stop his route and sacrifice for the block? I've seen Hines do that. I've seen Hines supposed to be running a route and stop it and hammer a guy or really take the fucking hit to save his quarterback. He knows
He's a
those types of
very good run
situations.
blocker. I think he's like
He's a
top
fucking
20
awesome
in the
run
league.
blocker. But he sees the situation. He knows when to stop, you know what I mean? Stop a route outside and hammer a block and let that pass go to someone else. That's exactly what I think they brought him in for. He's a playmaker, he's a weapon, and he's fucking smart. I think it really hurts James Cook. He's a rookie when it comes. Like, obviously, they're still going to move him along, but I think they're just going to move him along a little slower because everybody in Buffalo likes Devin Singletary. Josh Allen likes him. Brandon Beane likes him. Fucking everybody likes him. Everybody likes this kid. I don't see him losing it. But I mean, I've been wrong before. I don't see him losing the job.
Agreed. And when I look at James Cook, the guy has yet to get over 30% of snaps in a game. That does not scream a guy who has taken any type of stranglehold of any job. It's been inconsistent. He had a 5%, 27, 12, 3, 15, 12, 24. It's been so inconsistent. He had 11 carries one week. Otherwise, his best week was 5. He had some gooses for you. His routes run, he's never run more than 7 routes in a game. And on that game where he ran 7 routes, yes, he was targeted 5 times. But then you flip it over to Devin Singletary. This is a guy who he's played one game under 50% of snaps, and it was 49%. This is a guy who has played over 50% of snaps the majority of the time. There's actually 4 games where he played over 70, 2 games where he played over 80%. Most recently against Green Bay, as you noted, 75% of snaps. This is not a move that is meant at attacking Devin Singletary's job. While it probably may lower him more to the mean of like a 60%, I think this brings in a Nyheim Hines who's going to take 30, 35, 40%. And then you got James Cook who's going to be taking on very minimal. Like at this point, probably regress him back to like a 5 to 12, 15% of snaps per game. Maybe the fourth quarter garbage time if they want to take those guys out. But like you alluded to, Devin Singletary seems to be the better pure runner that the team likes. Nyheim Hines is a more explosive playmaker than James Cook at this point in his career, a better blocker, a smarter football player. It just doesn't feel good for James Cook this year. Devin Singletary is a free agent next year. Nyheim Hines, I think, is part of that free agent class as well. If not, he might have one more year on that contract. If Nyheim Hines has one more year on the contract, still I have trust issues with James Cook being able to fully emerge in year 2. But at this point, there's nothing to suggest to me from playing time, from a touch perspective. Yes, when he's gotten touches, sure, you can point out, but look at the yardage that the guy
his yards
had
per
in a
carry
game.
is good.
Yeah, like
his yards per carry is good. I'm not shitting on him in that way.
His yards per carry is
good when he gets the touches. But I don't think they're going to trust him when shit hits the fan, when it comes down to like week 16, week 17, week 18, week 1 or week 2 of the playoffs, because let's be face it, they probably got the bye. You know what I mean? Conference championship, Super Bowl, if they make it there. Do they trust a rookie protecting Josh Allen? Because let's be honest, they've been there. They've been to the conference championship. And I feel, as a Chiefs fan, they were one piece away. You know what I mean? If they just had that one more explosive piece, playmaker. You know what I mean? I get it, the 13 seconds, whatever. You can't really do anything on the offense on that, but like one more, you know what I mean? Like You have to put up fucking points. They've seen it in 3 years in a row. They've run up against, I guess, the buzzsaw that was Kansas City. I'm not saying Buffalo can't beat Kansas City, but so far, that's been the buzzsaw. So that's what I think their price comparison is, right? Like, what is Kansas City doing in the AFC to what do we need to do to keep pace with them? Yes, I know the Bengals fucking beat them, but you know what I mean? Like, what do we need to do? That I think is the standard point, and Buffalo need an extra playmaker. Whether or not it's great for fantasy or not, I still think it is, but they don't give a shit. It's all about. I strongly, in my heart of hearts, believe we won't trust or not trust a rookie, but we can now ease a rookie in as a rookie fucking should be eased in. You shouldn't throw all these kids to the wolves every week. And like I said, in Buffalo, if it came down to you lost a conference championship because of a blown block by a rookie, how upset are you? How mad are you? You'd be screaming that they made this move. So I think it's a great move fantasy-wise. I think it's a great move football-wise. Good luck, Buffalo. Hope we don't see you in the playoffs or you get home.
Agreed. I just wanted to throw this out there. James Cook averages 3 carries per game. He does have a true yards per carry, which discounts carries of 10 plus yards of 5.0, which ranks 15th among all running backs. Devin Singletary, though, 10 carries, 4.4 true yards per carry, which ranks 30th among running backs. But I would have to question if James Cook had the 10 carries instead of the 3 carries, is that true yards per carry number going to look the same? I watched a lot of tape on James Cook leading up to this, and I saw a lot of games where he was given the ball and took 0 yards or negative yardage on 4 or 5 carries and then busted out a 50-yard run that saved his entire day. So that is what I would need to see in the NFL change, and we don't know yet because the volume isn't there, and I don't think the volume is going to be there this year for a lot of the reasons that you stated, Jim.
Man, 4.4, that's nothing to slouch at. That's good. That's a good fucking yards per carry.
And that's true yards per carry. That takes out the 10-yard runs. So that's a guy who's running between the tackles for you, putting in that work and not by breaking away. So
you know what 4.4 yards a carry is? Those are first down runs.
100%.
You run the ball 3 times. It's a first down. That's great.
100%. Lastly, we'll hit on Calvin Ridley before moving to gold or fool's gold quickly, as we spent 42 minutes talking about the trade deadline. It was such an exciting time.
What did I tell you pre-game?
You wanted to talk a lot about these moves. So give me something about Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's going to Jacksonville. I just saw Ari Myrov's post saying he bet it for the Falcons to beat Jacksonville. That's what got him into this suspension, and then he gets traded to Jacksonville. The irony of the situation, plus the opportunity. This is massive. This guy likely immediately walks into that building next season and could be the alpha wide receiver 1 in that room. Yes, Christian Kirk is there. He's having a great season. I get it. Zay Jones is not. Zay Jones is questionably a 2. This can be a guy who can be like the DeAndre Hopkins for Christian Kirk in Arizona. Maybe not the same. Maybe not the exact same. But like, you know what I mean?
I don't think he fucking another snap again.
You still don't think that Ridley plays?
I don't think he fucking plays. No, I don't. I'm not.
It was a very complex trade that had a lot of. If he shows up, it's this pick. If he's on our roster at this point, it's this pick, so on and so forth. It was a very complex deal that makes you really think. I wouldn't be buying him. I wouldn't be.
Here's my thing.
Doing much with that.
We all know our buddy Coach Craig at Coach Craig Sport. If you're listening, go check him out on Twitter. That's at Coach Craig Sport. He's got a YouTube channel. Go subscribe, like that shit. Put on the fucking reminders. This dude knows his shit. We've had this one time in the NFL, where a guy has been suspended for cheating or for gambling, and he never plays played again. He went on the IR. He got off the IR, and he never played a snap of football again. You want to talk about integrity of the shield? Betting and gambling makes the NFL a fucking lot of money. A fucking lot of money. So if you want to black stain the cash cow that is gambling with the NFL, let them back in. Let them back in. But I don't think they do. I really don't think they do. And the deal that Jacksonville even threw out doesn't even scream to me confidence that Jacksonville thinks he's going to fucking show up. I'm not buying him. I don't think he plays. Everybody thought Deshaun Watson wasn't going to ever play again. But you know what? I think he will, because the NFL is sick and twisted. And like I said, it's all about the dollar value. And he'll make them dollars, where I don't think Calvin Ridley playing makes them more than if he doesn't play. I think him playing hurts the game financially more for the NFL.
I like it. I the thought is there, and I get it, and I understand it, and the complexity of that deal tells you all that you need to know. That if you're somebody looking and you're like, I think I might buy Calvin Ridley, I would definitely think twice. I would just wait it out. This is one of those situations where you wait it out. You wait it out. If he is on the roster week one, if he walks on that field week one, I would almost automatically be trading him, because you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know the circumstance. We don't know the final end story of this and the ramifications from it. This is a guy.
Feels Josh Gordon-esque.
And yeah, and you have to remember, this is a guy who has not played a snap of football in 2 years. The guy's going to step on the field. He's going to be, 29 years old, 2 years removed from playing any type of meaningful football. There's a lot of question marks, and you should not be buying for. I mean, if somebody's like, I'm selling him, I want him off my team here, I'll take a 5th round rookie pick. Sure.
But I'll take a bag of chips.
But if somebody's willing, if somebody's looking for like a 2nd round value or any type of rookie value in the top 3 rounds, no chance. Wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't even think about it.
I even advised 2 weeks ago to a friend of ours in the group chat. Said I wouldn't even trade him. I wouldn't trade away Lockett for him. And I said, granted, Lockett might not play next year due to age, but I'm not guaranteed fucking Calvin Ridley was ever going to play again. And he's like, wait, what are you talking about? I'm like, there's a better chance that Tyler Lockett plays another down to football in the 2023 season than Calvin Ridley.
Makes sense. Agreed. Golden Fool's Gold it is. I'll try and rapid fire away. And if you have a comment to add, you can throw in a comment. Quarterback gold. He was in the doghouse last week as my Fool's Gold, which was a good choice because he did not play well at all. But he is back in the good graces of me, and that's Trevor Lawrence against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders finally stopped a QB from putting up 20-plus points. It was my gold pick, Andy Dalton, who, even though he only got 19.5, he was still a QB 14, so he was still a decent play. That says all you need to know about this Las Vegas Raiders defense against quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence is a QB 10. He should be able to get back on track this week against this team. Lawrence has been on a roller coaster ride this year. Managers have been on it with him. Top 12 4 times, 20th or worse 4 times. There's no middle ground. He's either QB1 or he's busting hard for you. The Raiders have allowed 250-plus yards and 2+ touchdowns, both separately in 5 of 7 games this season. Fool's goal for me, Tom Brady against the LA Rams. This pains me to do it, but this offense is struggling. Brady is struggling. He's currently the QB 14. He's averaging 15.4 points per game. He's only managed 2 top 12 finishes for you this season. He's only surpassed 20 points once, and that's against, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs, because he had to keep up going pound for pound with that offense. Despite 40-plus pass attempts in 6 straight games, he has not been able to give you the fantasy output you need. He's passed for 250-plus yards in 5 of 6 games, but has only 1 multi-touchdown game. That was also against the Chiefs. Since week 1, after facing Josh Allen, the Rams have allowed only one quarterback to score 20 points, and Jimmy G was the one who did it last week, and it was 20.1. Call that very close. They have dominated quarterbacks since Josh Allen. 5 passing touchdowns allowed in 7 weeks, and only 1 of 7 quarterbacks has managed to get over 250 yards. The Rams offense isn't working all that well, so they may not put up a lot of points. Tom Brady may not have to put up a lot of points. This is as the makings of a pretty ugly game between two teams we had a lot higher hopes for. Jim, anything you want to add on the quarterback front?
I'll be honest. Let me see. I hope to God Trevor Lawrence fucking slaps Pickles in this week, man. Because as me and you called him as a sit, I'll be honest, there was one league where I still didn't trust Russ, so I played Trevor Lawrence, and I lost because of specifically that move. That was the only move.
The gap between Russ and T-Law?
Yeah, that was it. The gap between those two. Lost it. Could have played Zach Wilson.
Damn.
Didn't really trust him. But the point is, I could have played Russ. I could have won. That is how distrusting I was in Russ that I played our overall number 1 fool's gold quarterback still over him. Oh, it was heartbreaking. So I hope the guy
hurts. It hurts. I know. Running back gold. I usually never pick the Thursday night game, but this is way too juicy. I was on my Eagles podcast right before this. I even said, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we have 3 rushing touchdowns scored by 3 different rushers. Wouldn't even be surprised. I got Miles Sanders against the Houston Texans. There is only one team currently giving up over 30 points per game to the running back position. They have jaw-droppingly allowed 4 running backs to manage 30 plus, not just 20 plus, not just 15 plus, 30 plus points in a game. That is the Houston Texans. They also allow 30 more yards per game to the running back or on the rush and on the ground than any other team in the NFL. They're on their own tier of bad against the ground attack. Sanders has managed a top 24 finish in 5 of 7 games, although it may not feel like it sometimes, including 4 games where he's gone over 12 points. He also has touchdowns in 4 of 7 games after finding the end zone a grand total of 0 times last season, which frustrated the hell out of managers. And 5 of 7 games, he's gone for 75 plus yards. In a super volatile running back market, he is currently the RB15, and he's got the juiciest matchup of any running back. You play him. You probably play Kenneth Gainwell in your flex. I feel like it's going to be a good night for those two. I wouldn't even be surprised, call me crazy, if we get way ahead, 3rd and 4th quarter, you see some Boston Scott, and Boston Scott gives you a touchdown that would pay you dividends to put him in your flex, but I know you don't do it, but I'm just saying. It could happen. Fool's gold, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Isaiah Pacheco against Tennessee. Sorry, Jim. No, listen.
Oh, yeah, just tell your fucking running backs and shit on my running backs. That's okay. Yeah, no,
listen,
go for it.
Listen, the Chiefs are going to beat the Titans, but it's just not going to be on the ground. Tennessee ranks bottom 12 against wide receivers, against tight ends. This is a Juju night. This could be a Tony night. This is a Travis Kelce night. But they are top 5 against fantasy running backs. Over the last 2 weeks, they have allowed 15.5 and 14.1. This went to Jonathan Taylor and Dameon Pierce, who are dominating opportunity share in their backfields. Both of them required a lion's share 18 plus touches to get this point output. I can tell you right now, I would probably quit this show if Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Isaiah Pacheco ended up getting 18 plus touches by themselves this week, because you don't know who you can trust in this backfield. If you are putting one of these guys in, tell me which one you're starting confidently.
Oh!
Things seem to be heading towards a dicey situation in this backfield. Last week, it was essentially a 40-40-20 split. Yes, there was a third member of that. Jerick McKinnon was part of that mix. Things seem to continue to get complicated. They said Pacheco was the starter. Yes, he got this first snap. Then Clyde Edwards-Helaire was around. Then Jerick McKinnon was around. So things seem very complicated, and barring touchdowns, which the Titans have only given up 1 passing and 1 rushing touchdown all season to the running back position, it is tough to trust this situation in KC. Jim, anything you want
It's
to
going
add?
to be a shit banger in KC there. AFC South. No, I'm serious, man. Derrick Henry fucking slaps when he ends up playing the Chiefs. Like he ends up hammering Houston. AFC South plays the Chiefs fucking hard as shit. Laugh all you want, but our losses are not division losses. Our losses are to Buffalo and then to another AFC South team, Indy, this year. AFC South gives the Chiefs some fucking problems. So I don't know what the spread is on that game, but I might be taking the spread.
Pick against them. Pick against
I might be
it.
picking a spread, man. I might be picking Tennessee to cover that spread. Yeah, and Derrick Henry would be my goal. I know that's low hanging fruit there, but I usually going to fucking smash. I swear to God.
Wide receivers. I got Josh Palmer against the Atlanta Falcons. Back at practice on Monday was Josh Palmer, which is a major plus that he's playing this week. Keenan Allen was not at practice on Monday. He likely will play, but, he's struggling with his injuries. He's going to get his targets, but how consistent will he be? Mike Williams will be out. He's got the high ankle sprain. Going up against the worst team against fantasy wide receivers in Atlanta. Palmer has had 23 receptions over 5 weeks without Keenan Allen. The Falcons have allowed the most receptions, the most yards, second most touchdowns, and the most fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position. They've allowed 5 of 8 teams' top wide receivers to go for 20 plus, also allowing 5 instances of a team's wide receiver to put in up 15 plus points. Give me Josh Palmer in this instance. Putting Keenan Allen with confidence is going to be volume there as well. Fool's gold, I'm going with Gabe Davis, man, up against the New York Jets, and this may be surprising, but the Jets do rank 7th best against fantasy wide receivers. They allowed 6 touchdowns, 2 100-yard receivers, and 3 20-plus fantasy point wide receivers in the first 3 weeks of the season. Since then, they've allowed 2 touchdowns, 1 100-yard wide receiver, and 1 20-plus point wide receiver performance. That's in the last 5 weeks. Teams faced in those 5 weeks, because you're probably thinking, it must be some slouches. Miami, Pittsburgh, Green Bay with healthy Lazard, Denver, and New England. Couple slouches in there, but they were able to keep Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, among others, in check. Davis has proved a insanely volatile play through 6 games. 3 top 24 showings, and when he is not giving you a top 24 showing, he is busting majorly. Those 3 other showings, wide receivers 60 or worse. Only managing over 20 points once. He will need big play touchdowns to get you a top finish. Are you willing to trust it? Because this is going to be Diggs or bust for me. This is going to be Allen or bust for me. You just can't trust who's playing behind Diggs or what's going on behind Stephon Diggs is in that wide receiving room. Lastly, tight end, and then I'll let Jim throw in a comment or two. Gold, I got Evan Ingram. I'm stacking Lawrence and Ingram up against the Vegas Raiders. Ingram is currently, and probably to your surprise, the tight end 10 this year. Over the last 4 weeks, he has chalked up 3 top 12 tight end showings, eclipsing 12 points in 2 of those games. When managing 10-plus fantasy points, he has been a top 12 tight end every time. That has happened in 4 of 8 games. He has seen 6-plus targets and 4-plus receptions over the last 4 straight games, which is more than enough to land you likely 10-plus fantasy points, especially up against the Vegas Raiders offense that has been up and down against tight ends, depending a lot on the matchup. A tight end has only seen 5 targets or more 2 times. Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz. Yet the Raiders have allowed 4 tight ends to score 10 or more points in 7 games. You don't even necessarily need the targets. Evan Ingram is a smash play for me. Fool's gold, I got Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. This is going to be a tough one to sell to anybody. Isaiah Likely not so, but if Mark Andrews misses a game, then Isaiah Likely managers are going to be trying to play Isaiah Likely up against New Orleans. Andrews is banged up, and if he doesn't go, people will flock to Likely. The Saints are the number 1 team against fantasy tight ends. No tight end has scored over 10 points. This includes, I will list Pitts, Hurst, and Ertz, just to name a couple that they've already faced. They've not allowed a touchdown to a tight end, and they've not allowed a tight end to go over 50 yards. This may be a rough week for a banged up Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely. That's all I got. Golden Fool's Gold. Jim, you want to add any comments on the wide receiver tight end front?
No, that was sexy though, man. I don't think is Andrews actually going to play with the shoulder. I mean, he should.
They didn't seem worried. They did. Baltimore doesn't seem worried. They think he will play, but obviously that could have a hindrance on his ability to have a massive boom tight end game. And because tight end's so volatile, here I could be saying he's fool's gold and he could still finish tight end 10, but only give you like 7 points. Like,
yeah, that's
tight end's just
true.
So insane. I almost want to set my bar for golden fool's gold at like a top 6 tight end performance, because that's the ones where it's like
top 3 or bust, buddy.
15 plus points. Yeah, it's brutal. Tight ends are brutal. But if you listened to the podcast before, you know we were big Hayden Hurst fans, who's doing very well for you. We were Evan Ingram fans. We were Gerald Everett fans.
You were.
Yeah, I wasn't an Evan Ingram fan. You weren't.
I gave up on the motherfucker. Well, I mean,
at cost, I was in. At cost, I was in.
Yeah, and absolutely, man. I admit when I'm wrong. I'm fallible. Gerald Everett, big fan.
We are big fans. Big fans. He's a big fan of the show. Maybe.
I don't know. He's not a big fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening, supporting us, podcast, video form. Make sure you rate, review, like, subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Make sure you check us out. Follow Jim at Gold Jacket QBs, myself, Connor10 on Twitter, TEN, not the number. Check out the True North Fantasy Football Crew right above Jim's head. This was a wild week. We're going to start to see how things begin to unfold with some of the players who were traded. Kadarius Toney making his Kansas City Chiefs debut this week, likely. TJ Hawkinson, Nyheim Hines. What's the impact going to be there? There's going to be a lot of questions beginning to be answered this week, we anticipate. And we maybe will be talking about these all over again next week. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, this is it for week 8. Moving on to week 9 next week, week 9, week 10. See you next Tuesday.
This is a beginning point. This is the beginning of the rest of my life.